Hello and welcome to another Why Jesus. Today we're looking at satisfaction.
Here in the dark I stand, pieces of my life are scattered on the ground. These splinters of pain from lights that blinded me.
Do you ever wonder why in an age where we have so much stuff to make us happy, there is so much disappointment and dissatisfaction? Now you may be old enough to know the Stones song, Can't Get No Satisfaction. Do you know that Keith Richards wrote the music to it in his sleep and had no idea that he'd written it? It was Mick Jagger who wrote the lyrics, which convey the irritation and confusion over the increase of commercialization in the modern world. Now that song was written 55 years ago, and the frustration since has increased unbelievably. We've been sold the lie, if you have enough stuff, you will be happy. But I think that disappointment is the word that so many could use to describe their lives today. They tell us that they set out in life full of expectancy, with dreams of that perfect partner, career, home, and so on. But the realization just didn't live up to the expectation. Joseph Priestley wrote, "Living in the age of advertisement, we are perpetually disillusioned. The perfect life is spread out before us every day, but it changes and withers at a touch." That was written, incredibly, over 200 years ago. So we can see that this is not a modern dilemma. So what is the problem? The Bible tells us that we were made by God and for God. In Genesis, the first book of the Bible, we're told that God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. Then we're told that God breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and the man became a living being. That is, a living soul. Physical beings with an eternal soul. So ultimately we are spiritual beings. It was Augustine who many years ago spoke those now famous words, "Lord, you made us for yourself, and our hearts are restless until they find their rest in thee." There is a heart hunger within each and every human being that only God can satisfy. When Jesus Christ came into the world, he clearly taught that he was the one who alone could satisfy that hunger. He said, "I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never go hungry, and whoever believes in me will never be thirsty." To seek to live life merely on a physical plane will lead at best to shallowness, or at worst to despair. There's a story about a New York policeman who came across a young man about to jump off a bridge into the Hudson River. "Life is so pointless and miserable. I'm going to end it all," he said. Well, the policeman reasoned with him. "Son, just give me 20 minutes. You take 10 to explain why life is so empty, and I'll take 10 to give you a reason for hope." So they talked for 20 minutes, and then both jumped off the bridge. But seriously, there are many driven to utter despair because life seems so disappointing and meaningless. In fact, that was the cry from one man in the Bible who had it all. He said, "Meaningless, meaningless. Everything is meaningless." It seems to be the cry through the ages. Many of our celebrities today, they have everything money can buy, but still there is that inner, sometimes vocal, but more often than not, silent desperation. You see, there is a deep inner yearning inside each of us. It's for this reason that Jesus stood up in front of a needy crowd saying, "I am the bread of life who has come down from heaven." We all instinctively are longing to taste heaven. But we live in a world where so often we get a taste of hell. At times we're unable to take any more images on our screens of sickness, selfishness, death, despair. There seems no escape from the sheer ugliness that confronts us on a daily basis. The most painful part is that we see the very same weaknesses and potential for ill in our own hearts. Now, we may think the word sin seems such an archaic word, but it accurately describes the root cause of all the sorrow upon the face of our planet. Albert Einstein surely was right when he said, "The true problem lies in the hearts and thoughts of men. What terrifies us is not the explosive force of the atomic bomb, but the power of the wickedness of the human heart." That longing within us is a yearning for a world as it was in the beginning. This world has not always been as it is now. We read that when God looked upon his new pristine creation, he saw all that he had made, and it was very good. The catastrophic description of where things went wrong can be summed up in one sentence in the Bible. Sin entered the world through one man, and death through sin. In a fallen, failing world, we long to taste heaven. But not knowing where to get it, we seek to fill up the heavenly longing with earthly stuff. It's significant that Jesus said he was the bread of life. But why bread, you may ask? Well, bread is a universal staple food. Although there are potatoes, rice, pasta, it's bread that's most used universally. Bread's not usually a luxury, but a necessity. Bread really is for hungry people. Jesus said, "I am the bread of life," because there's no more basic food, and without it we'll starve. And even the poorest can attain to bread. However, a degree of hunger is essential, and Jesus is saying that there must be a genuine spiritual hunger for genuine spiritual food. Christ is the living bread. He is the bread from heaven, the all-essential food to satisfy the human soul which God has put in each one of us. Now, most seek to fill the spiritual void within with physical things. And we do this in 1,000 ways. C.S. Lewis put it this way: "We are half-hearted creatures, fooling about with drink and sex and ambition when infinite joy is offered us, like an ignorant child who wants to go making mud pies in a slum because he cannot imagine what it must be like to have a holiday at the sea. We are far too easily pleased." Perhaps the most popular treatment today for filling that deep inner longing is retail therapy. But no amount of stuff can satisfy the deep, God-shaped hunger within. There are so many who have so many, in one sense, and yet unhappy, unfulfilled or disillusioned, and don't know why. Now, I can certainly identify with that. I look back on my years of addiction to alcohol in the past. I had a lovely wife and kids, earned good money, but still there was that deep inner restlessness that I just couldn't explain, and which eventually led me down a steep path to near death, until the incredible day when I cried out to God, who I didn't really know and didn't even knew existed really, but I cried out and my soul in an instant was filled with something this world just couldn't give me. It was then I understood what it was to taste the bread from heaven, the life from God, and the God who offers to all those who seek. So today God reasons with you. He invites you to freely receive the life from above. Speaking through Isaiah the prophet, God says, "Come, all you who are thirsty, come to the waters. All you who have no money, come, buy and eat. Come buy wine and milk without money, without cost. Why spend money on what is not bread, and your labor on what does not satisfy? Pay attention, listen to me, and eat what is good, and your soul will delight in the richest of fare. Give ear, come to me, listen, that you may live." What an invitation. Did you notice there's no cost? It's free. However, there was a great cost to God by sending his Son, Jesus Christ, to die on the cross and pay the price for our sin in full. You see, putting our stuff first, whatever it might be, putting that in place of God is sin. It's living in the world that God made, enjoying the things he gives, but ignoring him, loving the gifts, but not the giver. But it was on the cross where Jesus was punished in our place. He tasted the bitterness of death and hell so that all who repent and trust him can taste and enjoy his heavenly life forever. Today, God invites you to enjoy the life he desired us all to have. Not that you'll be exempt from sickness or suffering in this life, but you will have his presence until the day he takes you to his home. By simple, childlike faith in Jesus, multitudes have found in him the fulfillment of that God-given inner yearning of the heart. True satisfaction. So why not you? Maybe you have responded to God's invitation today. Please get in touch. We'd love to send you a Bible and some helps to start you out on the faith road. Maybe you have a question, then you can comment below. We'd love to hear from you. You can contact us through our Facebook page, website, or email using the details below.
Was it all